you haven't seen the video, 3 days ago I uploaded the funniest video 3 days ago. It got 13 views and no likes. So if any of you are new to the channel, please subscribe and you will not miss out on stuff. Thank you. Let's get this day started. Now let's get this day started.
Spike it down to the ground.
I love the Magic League performance. When I was in high school, I had to go super high. Not super high. Welcome to the Cathedral of Learning here at the University of Pittsburgh. My name is Jerome, and I'll be your tour guide today. This is the Cathedral of Learning. It was built in 1937 after a 26-year effort by Chancellor John Bowman, who was the chancellor of the University of Pittsburgh during the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Now, as the story goes, on his first day of work, Chancellor Bowen was running a little late to school, or late to work, and so he hopped into a cab and said, "Take me to the University of Pittsburgh." The cab driver said, "I don't know where that is, you're going to have to tell me." Obviously, that wasn't going to work. So, the Chancellor decided to build a building that is so big, so beautiful, and so iconic that nobody would ever forget what the university was ever again. We think he succeeded. So, this door is going to have a lot of interactive components, and this is the first one. Everybody look up. Everybody look back down. Everybody look back up. Everybody look at me. I'm smiling. How much steel do you think is holding the 40 stories above that ceiling? What's up?
At least 20 times.
At least 20 tons, good guess. None. 50 tons? None. You are absolutely correct. There is no steel holding up the 40 stories above us. Those arches are entirely self-supporting, but do not worry, you are perfectly safe. If an earthquake were to hit the city of Pittsburgh, everything inside the cathedral would fall except for these 3 floors. That's how good those arches are. So, like I said, this building was built from 1926 to 1937. So, what was going on during that? You guys history students?
Yeah, that's right. 1937, you said?
1926 to 1937. What was going on in America and the world?
Oh, like,
Not any of the world wars. It was the period in between. It was the Great Depression. You were absolutely correct, which meant that it was very expensive to build this building.
During the Roaring Twenties.
Yes, so 1926 is like the end of the Roaring Twenties, absolutely. So which means that not only was it expensive, would it be expensive to build this building ever, it was extremely expensive because it was built during a period of economic downturn in the world. So, how did they pay for this? Well, 2 ways. The first way was the Buy a Brick for Pitt program. If you were a high school student back in the 20s or 30s, you could, if you wanted to, put a couple of cents in the mail. Everyone knows what the mail is? I always have to ask. You put a couple of cents in the mail, and you could ship it off to the university, and you would get a certificate saying, "I have bought a brick for the Cathedral of Learning." This program was wildly successful. Thousands of students from all across Pittsburgh and the surrounding region sent money into the university. We still have a couple of these certificates today, thousands were sent out. The second way we raised money is the reason you're all here today, the nationality awards. Now, you all are from West Virginia, but you're all from pretty close to Pittsburgh, so I'm going to ask, what makes Pittsburgh unique among American cities?
well, that's actually one of the smallest compared to a lot of cities.
It is definitely the smallest, that is correct, not the answer I was looking for though.
Three Rivers, that'd be.
3 Rivers, also very unique, not what I'm looking for though.
Purgatory.
Huh? I'm pretty sure other places have purgatory too. So the answer I was looking for is that unlike a lot of other cities, Pittsburgh is still split up into very distinct neighborhoods that are associated with very certain groups of people. For example, who, everybody, do you think historically and currently lives on Polish Hill? That wasn't a trick question. Good job. 100 points. Now, because the city is split up into so many different neighborhoods, Chancellor Bowman, the cover story for the cathedral was Chancellor Bowman wanted to represent all of the different wonderful cultures that the city had in this cathedral. That was the cover story. The real story was he wanted more money for it. But we like the cover story, so we're going to stick with it. So, he said, if you are part of a community in Pittsburgh, and if you can get enough acknowledgement and finances to build a room, we will build you a room. You have to pay for it. It has to be totally funded. The upkeep has to be maintained by the community. But if you can do all of that, you will get a room in the cathedral of London. Those are the nationality rooms. All community funded, all in the cathedral, all from Pittsburgh. The university did not spend a cent on any of the rooms, with a few exceptions that I will get to when we get there. So before we get going, just a couple of things. You all are here for an hour and a half. Right? Yes. You got here a little bit early. Are you doing anything immediately at 11 o'clock? All right, then we'll do the full hour and a half. Couple of rules. I see all of you are taking videos and pictures. Go for it. Absolutely do that. Photography is encouraged. I only ask, there are going to be a couple of places where I ask for no flash photography. I'll point them out when we get there, but just keep that in mind. Other than that, take as many pictures as you want. Thing two, I see a couple of people brought water and snacks. Awesome. I also have a water bottle. I'm going to drink from it now. Because when you're inside the nationality rooms, you're not allowed to eat or drink anything. These rooms are very old and very historic, and we don't want anybody spilling food or water. I know nobody would do that intentionally, but just in case we don't want to risk it. So, before we get going, are there any rooms that you absolutely must see today? Any rooms that you're a part of the culture, that you are from, or that your family has been from, that you're studying in school? Anything like that?
The Swedish nationality room?
We can absolutely see the Swedish nationality room.
Can we see the Roman one?
We do not have a Roman one, unfortunately. We have an Italian one.
Do you guys have a Polish nationality room?
We do have a Polish nationality room.
Can we check that out?
Yes, we absolutely can. I will say, I'm going to try to get you into as many rooms as I can, but all of the rooms are active classrooms, so if there's a class happening in them, I'm not going to be able to get you because I can't interrupt the class. Yes?
Is there an art room?
Is there a what?
Art.
Art?
No, these
Yeah.
are just different countries.
Well, all of them are artistic in some way, but they're country focused, not theme focused.
If we can go to the tallest part of the room, so I can see
The tallest part of the cathedral? That is not in the scope of this tour. If you guys want to see that afterwards, I can direct you. All right.
Could we see the one for Israel?
Yes, we absolutely can. Yes. We do have a French nationality room. All right, I see it in 5. Anyone else, or should we get going? Let's get going. Shop wanted. Grab a seat wherever you would like. Like I said, these are all classrooms, so all of the chairs have been used very recently. Come on in. File in. All right. Step inside. After you all. Welcome, everybody, to the English Nationality Room. This room was completed in 1952, and it is by far the largest nationality room. Why? Because that's the room that they were randomly assigned to. Everyone is randomly assigned to design and work around the room. This is just the one they got. Now, this is meant to look like the second House of Commons. Anybody know what the House of Commons is? So it is the English-British version of Congress. It is where they make all their laws. This is the legislative parliament. So the second House of Commons existed for most of English history throughout a lot of the Renaissance, Romantic period. It was destroyed in World War II. And now there is a third House of Commons, which is what you'll see if you watch the BBC or any other British news station today. But this is what it looked like for a lot of history. Now, everybody look up. It's a very heavy ceiling. It is all oak wood. How is it being held up? Anybody know? Yes.
Wood?
Yes, so there are beams holding up a lot of the ceiling, but what's holding the wood up itself? You can see it. This isn't a trick question. Yeah. It is the stone things. You are absolutely correct. These are called corbels. There are 6 of them that are holding this massive ceiling up. But you'll notice that the 4 here on the front look a little different from the 2 here on the back. Why is that? Well, like I said, the university tried to pay for as little as they could. So everything you're going to see in the rooms was either funded by the community or donated. It's an artifact. The 4 in the front are artifacts. The 4 corbels were donated to us by an anonymous donor. And they are used to hold the ceiling up, both in the actual House of Commons and in this room. However, we only had 4, which were not enough to hold the ceiling up. So we had to make 2 more. But we wanted people to be able to distinguish between the originals and the fake ones. So the originals have the Tudor rose on them, Tudor being a symbol of an English royalty lineage. And then the 2 in the back don't have anything on them because they are fake. We made them. That is one of the few things that the university had to pay for. Now, let's talk about some of the other masonry or brickwork in this room. This is a brick. It's just a brick, nothing special about it, except that it came from 10 Downing Street. Anyone know what 10 Downing Street is? 10, yes.
Hour.
Oh, I'll talk about that down in a second. Yeah. Does anybody know what 10 Downing Street is? If not, that's all right. That's where the Prime Minister of the UK lives. Basically the President of the UK, although some people will get very mad if I call him. But that's all right. So the story behind that brick is that we were looking for stuff to put in the English nationality room. And during the Blitz, which is when London specifically was bombed a lot in World War II, a lot of buildings were destroyed, especially 10 Downing Street. So, an old director of the Nationality Room programs was just walking along in London one day, and she got to 10 Downing Street and saw that there's a large pile of loose bricks sitting there. And she thought, well, I'm looking for stuff to put in the English Nationality Room. Why don't I just take a brick? So she did. She literally picked it up, put it in her purse, and flew back to the US with it. We have that brick now. We stole it. Now, let's talk about the portraits. So that guy is Lord Mellon, Lord Andrew Mellon. He is a diplomat, art collector extraordinaire. Actually not all that interesting, but we have him in this room because he donated a lot of money to make it happen. The real person I want to talk about is this guy. Now, you might not recognize him, but I can assure you that you have actually said his name today. Any guesses as to who that man is? All right, here's a hint. We are in a place named after him. Yes, that is Lord William Pitt the Elder, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom during the 1700s. And fun fact, he is the Prime Minister that assigned George Washington his first ever military mission, which was to right here in Pittsburgh. That's why if you ever go to the Pittsburgh airport, you'll see a statue of George Washington, local hero. Now, Lord Pitt is the namesake for the city of Pittsburgh, as well as, by extension, the University of Pittsburgh, and so we have him represented there. We also have him represented in the window. You'll see we have crests representing a lot of different people and places. So we have William Pitt, the city of Liverpool, the city of London, St. George, who is a religious figure who you will see pop up all along this tour. A little bit of trivia about the crest of the Pitt family. That isn't only their crest, it is the crest of both the city of Pittsburgh and the University of Pittsburgh. My crest. Or rather, my university's crest. So a lot of different people and places in the windows, but I'll point out 2 that I really like, and those are the ones right over there. Those are the crests for Charles Dickens, the famous author, and Florence Nightingale, the founder of the Red Cross. Why are those 2 special out of all of the crests? there are no guesses, I will tell you, it's because, like the corbels over there, they are fake. You see, Charles Dickens and Florence Nightingale never had crests because they were not nobility, they were not royal. But we felt that their contributions to the world were important enough to warrant inclusion in the nationality rules. So we made them their own crests. They are the only ones to be inside. And that really is the English room, all about representing all of the best parts of English history as best we can in this room. Any questions? Yes? Those things that are open? A dark and ancient secret known as a chalkboard. There will be a chalkboard in every nationality room we go to today. So you can... Any other questions? Yeah.
Not really a question, but I was expecting you to just open and say nothing. Just say like it is nothing right there.
There's always something. If it's worth pointing out, there's always something. Yes.
What's the thing over there?
Over the door?
Yeah.
So that is a crest of, I believe, the House of Stuart. The House of Stuart was the ruling family, or rather is the ruling family of the UK. They are, Queen Elizabeth, King, I hate saying King, King Philip, etc. Yes? Good question. So this fireplace does not actually work. I'll move this TV down a bit so you all can see it. But this fireplace doesn't actually work. It doesn't go anywhere. But it is a relic that warranted inclusion in this room. You see, this is the original fireplace from the Eye Lobby. What is the Eye Lobby? Well, if you were in English Parliament and you wanted to vote yes, or I want to make this bill a law, you would go to the Eye Lobby, and if you said no, I don't want this legislation to be a law, you would go to the Nay Lobby. But if you were a more positive person and wanted to say yes, you would see that actual fireplace. Any other questions? Yes.
What about the lights?
What about the lights? Those are more for stylistic purposes. They don't have any special meaning, we just needed some lamps in this room. Yeah. Those words? So that is a quote by the Bard, aka William Shakespeare. Set in the silver sea, this blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, commemorating the beauty of England. It's written in very weird script, which is why I stumbled back there. I apologize. If there are no other questions, then let's keep moving, shall we? Am I giving you guys out of your classroom? Sorry. Starting at 10? Is it all right if we give a quick tour? All right. Come on in, everyone. Grab a seat, grab a seat. You found a chalkboard? This one's easy. This is the freebie. Yeah, you can sit there if you want. Come on in. Grab a seat wherever you'd like. Like I said, there will be classes happening in all the nationality rooms. There's one happening in 10 minutes, so I will breeze through this as quickly as I can. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the French room. This room was completed in 1943, and it is meant to look like a French imperial style. French imperial? I thought that France was a country, not an empire. You're right, it's not an empire anymore. You see, this room represents Napoleonic France, when it was an empire under Emperor Napoleon. Now, when you thought about the French room, when you imagined it in your head, this is probably not what it looked like. You might be expecting more gold, more fancy stuff, more crystals, whatever. But why did we choose this rather boring Napoleonic style? Well, it has to do with what was happening in France at the time of its construction. You see, like I said, this room was completed in 1943. What was happening in France in 1943? Yes. Yes, it was under German occupation, absolutely, and so it wasn't really a player on world politics. The designers of the French room felt that it was so important to represent the room, or represent France when it was at the height of its powers. That not only did they choose a boring style when they could have chosen so many other styles, they also broke one of the nationality room rules. You see, all nationality rooms have to be of a style that existed before the university's founding date in 1782. Napoleon rose to power well after. But representing Napoleon, representing France at the height of its powers when it was still a major player in world politics, was important enough to warrant a rural frame. Now, Napoleon considered himself the emperor of Europe, and in order to give himself more legitimacy, he tried to basically steal as many imperial signs as he possibly could. So, the walls are painted this marbly gray to represent old ancient empires, Greece, Rome, Egypt, etc., that used a lot of marble. We also have symbols from those empires. We have two griffins from ancient Egypt. We have these pilaster caps from ancient Greece, and these rosettes from ancient Rome. That's about as close as we're going to get to the Roman room. I'm very sorry to whoever asked for that. Just 1 second, we'll save questions to the end. I will be right out, I'm very sorry. But the last thing I'll point out in the French room is the chauffeur, which is the tapestry in the back. This chauffeur is actually a Flemish tapestry from back in the 1800s. It was popular during Napoleon's time. And it is called the chauffeur because that roughly translates to cabbage leaf, and it looks a little bit like a cabbage. The story of the tapestry is something marriage is good. It's about the unicorn hunt. Look it up when you get home. The last thing I'll point out is that this room actually broke another rule. It broke you can't choose which room you want to work in. You see, you are randomly assigned a room when you decide to have a nationality room, as I have said in the past, but the French committee really wanted this room. Why? I'm sitting near it. Yes?
Something to do with what's outside.
It is something to do with what's outside. What can you see out of these windows? It is not the trees, but a good guess. Yes?
It also looks like a cathedral there.
Good answer. So that isn't a cathedral, this is a cathedral, but that is a chapel. That is the Heinz Chapel, and it is a perfect recreation of French Gothic style. So when you are sitting in this classroom, bored to tears by whatever your professor is talking about, no offense, you can still look out of the window and see a good representation of French culture. You can still learn a little bit about France. I'm making a lot of assumptions here, I'm very sorry. So, any questions about the French room? Yes?
The chandeliers are good.
Yes, the chandeliers are very good. You'll actually see similar chandeliers when we go upstairs. Yeah. That is not real gold. There is very little, if any, real gold in the national museums. All right, if there are no other questions, let's get out of here and leave these people to their class. Everybody give them a big round of applause for letting us tour this room. And we will get out of here. All right, let's move on out.
Also, if you're a big fan of my channel, please subscribe. Thank you. If you're a big fan of my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.
All right, we are actually going to be moving this way, everybody, so if you'll pardon us.
If you're a big fan of my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.
Come on in. All right. Welcome, everybody, to what is undoubtedly the most unique nationality room. This is the Syria-Lebanon room. Why Syria-Lebanon? Well, because all of these rooms are historically protected national landmarks, and we are not allowed to change anything about them, including their names. And when this room was completed in 1941, there was only Syria-Lebanon. They were one combined territory, not two separate countries. That is why we gave it the name we did. That is why we are not able to change its name as well. Now, this room is unique for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is the only interior room in the nationality room program. All of the other rooms are on the outside of the cathedral with a window. This is the only one on the inside. Number two, this is one of two rooms where we can't go inside. Not even me. I don't have the key. Only one person does, and they're not here right now. All of that is because of the third reason why it is the most unique nationality room, because it is the only wholly original nationality room. Meaning this room was not made for the purpose of being in the Cathedral of Learning. This room was somebody's living room in Damascus in 1782. It is very old. That is why it is the only interior room. We cannot have direct sunlight going into it or else it will literally fade. And we cannot go inside of it because we can't damage any of it because it is so old. But that doesn't mean we can't appreciate it from afar. So the first thing that you'll notice in this room is that it has this lovely outdented wall pattern. If you were able to rub your hand on the wall, you could actually feel basically the opposite of an indentation. You would feel stuff coming out and poking you. So Syria and Lebanon are both Muslim majority countries. So there are a couple of key things that would indicate that. For example, we have a mihrab in the back, or a prayer niche, which is where people of the Islamic faith do their prayers. Along the wall, we have passages from the Quran. We actually don't know which passages from the Quran, but there are passages written in Arabic, and traditionally there would be Quran passages in a room like this. Those sofa cushions, or sufa and matfa, which is where we get the word, look very comfortable, but they're not. They're stuffed with horsehair and straw. And finally, we have a tea set on the table, which is popular all across the Middle East. If you were to go to somebody's home in the Middle East and they were to fill your teacup all the way, they're basically telling you to get out because they want you to drink all the tea very fast and they're not going to refill it for you. If they fill the teacup halfway, you're welcome to stay a little while because you will have to refill the teacup over and over. Now, the last thing I'll point out in this room is actually the chandelier. It used to be a self-extinguishing chandelier. You would have, these green glass holders would hold water at the bottom and then oil on top and then a wick on top of that. And you would light the wick on fire and you would have light. And when the oil was all used up, the water would actually put the fire out. You didn't have to worry about your house burning. The chandelier's been electrified now, but, sorry again, I'm a little stuffy today. But we also had to replace some of the green glass holders at the bottom. What do you think we replaced them with? What's in the chandelier right now? Not light bulbs. What kind of glass? Not stained glass, but a good guess. Tempered? Not tempered glass. This is a thing. This is an object. Yes.
Bottle glass.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Those are bottles. They are original Coke bottles that we welded shut and stuck in the chandelier because they matched the shade of green as the big orb in the middle, which was not replaced. That's the only original one. Glass is green. It is not clear. It has a color. And those bottles were the perfect shade of green to recreate the chandelier. Any questions about the Syria Lebanon?
Is it the only room that has religious things in it?
Absolutely not. We will see lots of other religious stuff. Actually, when we were in the English room, you could see St. George, who is a religious figure. So you've already seen some stuff. And as we go along, you'll see more and more religious items. If there are no other questions, feel free to take pictures. This is one of the places where I ask for no flash photography. And when you are done, we'll keep moving on. Chancellor is basically yeah, pretty much.
Come.
All right, head on in, guys. Yeah, watch your head. Get a little shorter back. Welcome to the Irish Room. This is the smallest nationality room, and it was completed in 1957, which makes it the youngest room on the first floor. All of the rooms on the first floor were completed before 1957. All of the rooms on the third floor were completed after 1987. So this was supposed to be the last nationality room for about 30 years, then we realized we want to make more, and we have to this very day. So what is the Irish Room supposed to look like? Well, it's supposed to look like an oratory, which is a kind of monastery, specifically a library in a monastery. What do you need for a good library in medieval Europe? Well, you need low ceilings to keep yourself warm. You need a nice, big, long table with the best chairs in the entire nationality room program. They even have Irish wolfhounds on the back. Feel free to give them a pet. The varnish is actually rubbed off of these chairs. It means people love petting these Irish wolfhounds so much. You also, if you are in a library, need some books, like the one over there. That is the Book of Kells. It is an illustrated manuscript, which is basically a picture book, or rather, a very good picture book that is a gospel as well. It is a religious book. This one in particular tells the Gospel of Matthew, I'm pretty sure. I am not Christian. I don't know all the Gospels, but I'm pretty sure that one's Matthew. Now, this is a 10th to 12th century Irish Romanistic style, 10th to 12th century, because each of the walls in this room represents a different oratory. You can see that the arches look a little bit different in each. We have a couple of monasteries represented in the stained glass windows over here, alongside different saints that they are generally associated with. So for example, we have St. Finian, who is associated with the Clonard Monastery, St. Columcille, associated with the Derry Monastery, and St. Carthage with the Lismore Monastery. Now, for those of you familiar with Ireland at all, anybody familiar with Ireland? Anyone from there, been there? There we go. You might have noticed that I've said Derry, which should be a little weird to a couple of people, because Derry is in Northern Ireland, not the Republic of Ireland. Well, that brings me to the cornerstone over there. That cornerstone in Gaelic says, "For the glory of God and the honor of Ireland." But what I really want to talk about is what's behind the stone. Because behind the stone, there is a jar. And in that jar, there is dirt. But special dirt, not just any dirt. You see, it is dirt from both the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Because this room represents the island, not one of the arbitrary political divisions. That is why we have Derry alongside Republic of Ireland. That is why we have dirt from everywhere. This is the island, not any countries. Any questions about the Irish room?
How old is the book?
How old is the book? The actual Book of Kells is centuries old. This is a copy made for the room, so it was made in 1957. Yes. Excellent question. That is a storage cabinet that, fun fact, holds Gene Kelly's tap shoes. It doesn't. That's a lie. That's a little bit right on people. But Gene Kelly is an alumnus of the University of Pittsburgh. All right. If there are no further questions, then let's keep moving.
Scholars.
best photo from this trip will win a prize.
Ooh.
Here's one out in real
It's like an orientation.
It needs to be of something from the trip, not a person.
Okay.
Like and subscribe to the channel. What up, Harl? If you guys want to see more, please like and subscribe to the video. Thank you. Have you pressed the like?
Okay. Let's keep moving, people.
Yeah.
But you can come back here and see it if you would like.
Rick Wrestling? I don't think you have goes. We'll find out. We'll find out the truth.
No. All right, just wait here 1 second, guys. Just wait here 1 second. All right, let's see if we can get inside here. Hello. Is it all right if I give a quick look? All right, come on in, everyone.
Oh, it's Asian stuff.
Welcome, everybody, to the Chinese room. This room was completed in 1939, and it is meant to look like the Forbidden City, specifically the Imperial Palace in the Forbidden City of China. So let's start at the ceiling and work our way down. Now, the first thing anybody notices when they walk into this room is the dragon. That is the Imperial Dragon of the Heavens, and we know that he is the Imperial Dragon of the Heavens because he has 5 toes on his claws, not 4. All of the other dragons you see in this room will have 4 toes. Moving from the dragon to the outside, we see bats, which are a symbol of good fortune and luck in Chinese culture, as well as the imperial phoenixes of wisdom. Moving down to the walls, anybody know who this fella is?
I've heard of him.
You've heard about him. Who is he?
I forget his name. Confucius?
And it is Confucius. This is Confucius, the great teacher, one of the great philosophers of ancient China. And you can actually see his educational philosophy in this room. So, you all are from the school. What do your classrooms look like? Big rectangle? Big rectangle? Okay, well, Confucius would have hated that. Why? Because Confucius thought that all were equal in learning. Teacher, student, everybody. And so, this room has a circular table because it has no head. Therefore, nobody is the authority. However, for all of you teachers out there, don't worry, you do get the best chair, which is over there. If we were able to go to the German room today, you would probably see something a little more akin to what you're used to, a big rectangle, lots of rooms. It's because China is so different and developed so differently from the rest of the world, or at least from Europe, it has distinct educational philosophies. It also has distinct values, which you can see represented in a piece of stonework down here. This is the yin yang, which represents Tao, or balance. And everything about this is balanced. Not only is the yin yang balanced between black and white equally, but if you look at the sticks and stones around the yin yang, you can see that there is balance on each side. So we have 2, 1, 2 up here, and then we have 1, 2, 1 down here. And that pattern is mirrored all the way around. Now, looking at the chalkboard here, you found it first. Good for you. 100 bonus points. If you'll pardon me now, I'm sorry, I don't want to hit your head. We have a couple of symbols on each side of the chalkboard doors. So we have the phoenixes of wisdom, just like we have on the ceiling. We also have a couple of symbols specific to Buddhism and imperial majesty from the various emperors of China. Here we have the imperial knot, which represents, or rather the infinite knot, which represents long life and longevity. And over here we have the imperial umbrella, which represents might and divine authority to rule. When you guys get to the ancient China period of your history classes, you will learn all about the divine right to rule and how that has helped the Roman emperors across the millennia. A couple of other things I'll point out about this room. You might have noticed our lucky lions as you were coming in. They're very liking this. They are right at the front door. And as you can see, they have been pet a lot. That is because, supposedly, if you pet their heads, you will get good luck on your next exams. However, the luck is probably not going to work, not only because of statues, but because in order for the luck to work, you need a male and a female lion. For whatever reason, we got two males. So still feel free to pet their head. They love it, but you're probably not going to get any luck out of it. Last thing I'll point out, the frieze, which is what connects the ceiling to the walls. You'll see a blue strip of wood with Chinese characters on it. Those are Chinese characters, but they are also Chinese characters. That's my point. They are people from across Chinese history and myth. So you'll see people like Confucius, Lao Tzu, another philosopher, Fa Mulan, like the movie, but the actual story, which is much better. But I want to ask you guys a question. Suppose that you're a designer of the Chinese room in 1939, and you want to represent every single important person who ever existed in China and will exist in China. How do you do that? Yeah?
You could write the word everyone.
You could write the word everyone, or you could do what they actually did, and you could leave a blank space to represent all of the important Chinese figures to come. Any questions about the Chinese room? Yeah?
Why are the windows like that?
Why are the windows like that? They're supposed to look like windows from the actual Forbidden City. Traditionally, they would be made out of mulberry paper. These are hard plastic. Yes?
Aren't they just see out?
Because mulberry windows are supposed to be okay. You can't see in, you can't see out. That was good for the imperial rulers. We have them here as well. Yeah?
An actual place, could you hear through the paper?
Probably. I mean, it's just paper. I haven't been there myself. If there are no further questions, everybody please give a big round of applause to our student letting us go this room. And we are going to head upstairs, and we are going to take the stairs. Follow me, everyone.
If you want to see furthermore, please subscribe. Yes. If you guys want to see furthermore, please like and subscribe. Alright. Here we go. Well, if you guys want to see furthermore, please like and subscribe.
Thank you, Dylan.
Welcome.
Alright, go ahead. I'll hold the door for you.
If you guys want to see furthermore, please like and subscribe.
Did you try and enjoy the game last night?
Here we go.
Thank you, Brian. This one.
I was filming balcony. That's some nice places.
Welcome. brothers and sisters of the congregation, to the Welsh room. This room was completed in 2008, and I hope all of you were alive to remember that.
December 29th, 2008.
July 31st of 08.
I was born 2 days ago.
I'm so old. You're old. I feel so old. I remember 2008. I remember watching Obama's inauguration in kindergarten. You kids weren't alive.
I was in college, so don't talk.
I won't. Welcome to the Welsh Room. Made in 2008. This meant was like Enrwd Chapel, which is a non-conformist chapel in Wales. I will answer your question after the presentation. Hold on to it. Non-conformist, meaning that it didn't want to conform to the Church of England. You see, anybody know who Henry VIII is or was? You do? You like musicals? So I asked because he was a big, or six, good stuff if you guys have ever seen it. He was an actual historical figure. He was a rather mean one, but one of his key contributions was that he created the Church of England. The Church of England is still the ruling religious authority in England to this very day. And he wanted everyone in Britain to conform to its doctrines, to be part of the church. The Welsh did not want to conform to the English rule, and so they made non-conformist chapels where they could practice their religion as they wanted. You can see the sort of secretive nature in the deacon benches, which are on either side of the pulpit. Those serve two purposes. One, so the deacons can look out into the congregation. Two, the deacons can look out the windows and see if there are any English officials approaching. If they were, they could say, shut it down, and the service would stop, and the English would not be able to catch them in the act of practicing their religion. Now, to all of you sitting on the benches over here, how does it feel? It feels bad, right?
Yeah.
That's because it's supposed to feel bad. These benches were designed to keep people awake during sermons. That is why they are perfectly straight up, so you can't slouch. That is why there's a ridge in the back, so there's something constantly digging into your back to keep you awake. People love having class in this room. If you do have a class in this room, you want to get here early to try and get to those seats, because these are where the rich people sit. Not only are they a little bit more comfortable and a little bit wider, they are enclosed, which means that if you were a Welsh person back in the day, you could actually bring your animals here to help you keep warm during the cold Welsh winters. You could bring your dog to church every month. It's crazy. A couple of other things. That above the chalkboard.
I found chocolate first.
Congratulations, 100 bonus points to you.
Yeah.
This is the Lord's Prayer, written in Welsh. And it was actually made by my boss, Michael, who was terribly sorry because there was a catastrophic spelling error in this Lord's Prayer. You see this word?
Oh my lord, I see that's the biggest word in the dictionary.
Is missing a D.
What?
How many of these do you
He is very sorry. So, the floor is meant to look like packed earthen dirt. That's what they have in the actual time of the chapter. You can just scatter dirt around all over the place. I think it's just concrete. A couple of last things to point out. Over here we have Richard Thomas's clock, or rather the Richard Thomas clock. We don't know if he actually owned it, but there is Richard Thomas written on the clock, so we call it the Richard Thomas clock. It is on a pedestal made out of slate. Anybody know why we chose slate? Yes? It is very sturdy, but that's not why we chose it. It is because it is Wales's third biggest export. Anybody know what the first two are? Yes.
Is one of them sheep?
One of them is sheep and sheep products, yes. What's the biggest export though? The answer I was looking for was coal. Coal was the answer I was looking for. Yeah, the last thing we'll talk about is this display case in the back here. There's a couple of things I'll talk about. Number one is the love spoon. It is called the love spoon because if you were a Welsh person back in the day and you wanted to propose to somebody, you would hand carve them a spoon. And if they liked the spoon, they would marry you, and there were no other factors that went into that decision. Down here, we have a red dragon. The red dragon of Wales. It is a symbol of Wales. It is on our flag. All of the sports teams were red. But this dragon is pointed in a very specific direction. It is pointed away from the English one. Why? Any guesses? Yes.
Because Wales and England historically were battling for a long, long time and Welsh would be independent until they weren't.
Exactly. Wales and England don't get along. So why is the dragon pointing away from the English one?
Because they don't want to be near the English.
Not quite. It's a little cruder than that.
Is it because its tail is pointing?
It's because its rear end is pointing towards England. That is absolutely correct. One last up yours. Any questions about the Welsh one? Yes.
So I see that blue door back there. Is there anything like behind it?
So that's just a storage closet. Yes.
I have two questions. One, why is there a heart going?
Because it looks pretty.
Okay. What's that?
What's what?
The thing behind that blue door.
The thing behind that blue door, that is the equipment for the projector in this room. This room was built in 2008, so it is actually a projector compliant to renderings that were built in the 30s. If there are no other questions, let's keep moving.
University of.
That earlier, if you guys want to see more, please like the video. Thank you. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.
Right. Shuffle on out, file on out.
I'll send it to her right now. Because I know I'm going to forget.
Okay. Is everybody the last person out of that? All right, let's move this way, please. Sorry. Follow me.
First.
Come on in, everyone.
I'm going to say it again.
And you can. Welcome everybody to the Ukrainian room, which was completed in 1990. This Ukrainian room is in a Ukrainian folk style, meaning that nothing in Ukrainian history actually ever looked like this. It is an amalgamation of a lot of different parts of Ukrainian design tendencies. So, the first thing anybody notices when they walk in this room is the copper bas relief. This was hand-cut copper, and it tells the story of Ukraine through the history of Kiev, its capital. So here we have Kiev's pagan origins, to its Christianization in the Byzantine period, to its center, and to its place as a center of learning in Eastern Europe, to its place as the home of the most famous Ukrainian who ever lived, arguably, Taras Shevchenko, the bard of the Cyrillic language, the William Shakespeare of the Cyrillic language. You can see his quotes of the giant beam at the top. Now, the Ukrainian room is all about stories. It's in the bottom. It is also on this piche. This is a warming oven. That's what piche translates to. You don't actually cook anything in here. You just put wood in it to heat the place up. Really, to heat guests up. These guests are very important in Ukrainian culture. You see, as the inscription above the doorway says, when a guest enters the house, God enters the home. That is why the doorway is so thick. That is why the piche is right near the doorway. Guests are important. This piece is decorated with a lot of different folk tales. You see St. George again. I told you he'd pop up. He is also in this room, up there on the icon wall. Icon are pictures of religious figures. You can see St. George on the far right slaying the dragon. You can see St. Nicholas on the far left. And then in the middle, you have two depictions of Jesus, one with Mary, one as the teacher fully grown up. Another place where you'll find stories in this room are in the backs of the chairs. If you turn around and look at the chair behind you, you'll see something that's carved into it. It is a symbol that represents a place or a person or a story, and the one I will talk about is this fellow right here. This is Wojtek, the bear. Wojtek is, fun fact, the only animal to ever be formally enlisted in the Ukrainian military. Why? Well, Wojtek was found during World War I as a small bear cub by the Ukrainian military, and the Ukrainian military thought, well, we can't just leave this bear cub out to die, we have to take care of him. So they did, they brought him back, and eventually Wojtek got so big and so strong that he was able to carry entire munition shells by himself, because he's a bear. And so they said, hey, why do we have all of these humans lugging mortar shells around, and we need 2 people to carry them, when we can have Wojtek do it all by himself? And so he became Corporal Wojtek. Look him up when you get home, W-O-J-T-E-C. Okay, I forget. The last story I'll tell you in this room is the story of human history. If you'll move to the side, right under the chalkboard, you'll see 2 patterns, meander and chevron. And are there any sewers or knitters or anyone who makes crafts? You? Have you seen these patterns before?
Yes.
So they are still in use today, which is weird considering that they are 10,000 years old. These have been patterns for the majority of human history. And the first examples of them were found in Ukraine. Humans really like things we really like. That includes meander and chevron. It is part of the earliest parts of human history, and we represented it in movies. That is our story. Any questions? Yes?
I noticed there's no nails being used in this room.
Excellent point. All of this wood in the room is actually fit together using sort of, anybody know what Lincoln logs are? That sort of technique. You can see it all slotted together. In the back, we actually did have to use some nails for stability purposes. You just can't see them. Any other questions?
Is that considered the balcony?
That is the balcony. It is locked right now. Nobody is allowed to go out on the balcony, but a lot of the 3rd floor rooms do have them.
I was reading the thing about the hook chest and I was thinking.
Yes, so the hook chest is in the back.
Is in the back.
Yes.
I like the plates up there.
Yes, so the plates are really awesome. They don't have any particular meaning. They are just pottery that has been used across Ukraine for centuries. If there are no other questions, you must
Do you know what it says up there?
Yes, so those are actually 3 different versions of the Cyrillic alphabet. We have the oldest version at the top. It is the longest, it is the most complicated, made in the 11th century. In the middle, we have the 17th century version of the alphabet, a little bit less complicated, a little bit simpler. Finally, in the 19th century, they made the Cyrillic alphabet that is still used today.
They used to be in the other ones.
No.
Maybe.
I mean, you can, but if you like trying to use Old English in your academic writing, you can, nobody would be able to understand. All right, if there are no further questions, let's keep going.
Subscribe to the channel. The channel also like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Thank you.
It's pretty easy to pick out. Not the very beginning. No? Just a little. Okay.
No.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Israel Heritage Bowl, which was completed in 1987. Now, important distinction. This is the Israel Heritage Group, not the Israel. Israel as a country didn't exist until 1948, so it couldn't have been represented in a nationality. But something that existed long, long before the University of Pittsburgh was the people of Israel, aka the Jewish people. This is the Jewish room more than it is the Israeli. So this room looks like a 1st century stone structure from the Middle East, back in Jerusalem before the Roman exile of the Jewish people. And there are a couple of things that I can point out. There are relics from across Jewish history. First are the Dead Sea Scrolls over there. Those aren't the actual ones, but the Dead Sea Scrolls are some of the earliest written examples of the Hebrew language from thousands and thousands of years ago. The actual Dead Sea Scrolls are so sensitive to light that if you were to expose them to light just a little bit, they would literally dissolve in your hand. That is how sensitive they are. So they are kept in a very, very dark place. but we have copies. Over there, we have a 6th century stonework depicting all of the different Jewish holidays. We have the pilgrimage holidays, Sukkot, Shavuot, Passover. We also have the Star of David, which has been a symbol of the Jewish people for millennia. In the back, we have a passage from the Mishnah, or the Jewish Book of Law. It talks about the Shemitah year, which is basically every 50 years, everybody gets the entire year off. And boy, do I wish that was true. On the chalkboard, we have a couple of different scenes depicted from across the Tanakh, or the Jewish version of the Bible. Here we have the prophet Ezra reading the law to the people from atop the mountain. Over here, we have Moses striking the stone so that the Israelites may have water while wandering in the desert. Finally, here we have Aaron consecrating the holy relics in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. Finally, I'll talk about this mosaic, which is from the 2nd century. It is, of course, a replica. It shows a lot of different important artifacts across Judaism, the menorah, the holy ark, the eternal flame, as well as animals, the lion, the dove, etc. It is all a replica, except for in the holy flame right here, there are a few red tiles. Those are actually from the 2nd century. Tiles are a lot more sturdy than anything else, paper, etc. So we can actually have them and have people walking over them to this day. Any questions about the Israel Heritage Week? Yes, you first.
I found it first.
Yes.
Wow.
This part is very heavy, which is why I'm not opening it today. Yes, you can open both parts. Yes.
What's the meaning of all that?
What's the meaning of all that? Like what's written on it?
Yeah.
So that is a passage from the book of Isaiah, which is another holy book. You've probably studied it, yes. So that's the book of Isaiah, except it is in Aramaic, which is a very, very, very early version of Hebrew, to the point where it's often considered a different language.
Where did they, how they,
The Dead Sea.
Explain to them about the Dead Sea
Yes,
Scrolls.
yes. So does anybody know what the Dead Sea is? You've heard of it. The Dead Sea is the lowest place on Earth, meaning that you cannot go below the Earth's surface unless you're digging a hole. I forget the actual elevation of it. It's negative something. It's a couple hundred feet below sea level. It is also the saltiest place on Earth. How many of you know what buoyancy is? You guys have been learning about it? So, the water is actually so salty and dense that human bodies are more buoyant than the water. Meaning that you could just float there like you were wearing water wings without anything else. You don't have to kick, you don't have to struggle, you don't have to do anything. That's how salty it is. It also really hurts when you get in because it's so salty it gets in all of your wounds. The Dead Sea Scrolls were placed in a cave around 70 CE by a bunch of, you would know them as monks. They're not really monks because they're Jewish, but a bunch of religious zealots. They were placed in a cave in actually pots that looked like goats. And they were discovered in the early 40s by a goat farmer who was wandering around that part of the Middle East. Yeah.
So I see that there's the menorah in there. Is that lit on?
Yes, so that is actually not a menorah, a common misconception. That is actually a Chanukiah, which is what's lit on Hanukkah. You can tell because it has 9 branches. Anything with 7 branches, like this bad boy back here, that is a menorah. That is lit year-round.
that's 6.
Hmm?
That's 6 though.
It has 7.
It had 7,
It has 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, back there.
Why are there circles and holes in the ceiling?
Ah, so those are either ventilation or lights. They are lights that are not used in the Any other questions? I will point out a few more things. I am Jewish, so I know a lot about this one. The benches that you all are sitting on, good choice by the way, they show the 12 tribes of Israel alongside the symbol that's associated with them and their name in Hebrew. And the ones that you two are sitting on are Yehuda and Levi. And fun fact, every single Jew in the world can trace their lineage back to those 2 tribes. Yehuda was the biggest one. Yehuda roughly translates to Judah. Jewish, that's where we got the name. Any other questions?
Is the 10 Commandments somewhere in here?
Yes, you actually saw them already.
Did we? Okay.
It was on the door when you were walking.
Okay.
There are 10 there, all in Hebrew. See if you can pick out which ones are which. No, so that is Naphtali, Yehuda, and they are behind us. Why are there cushions on the seats? Part of it's because you don't want to sit on the concrete. The other reason is because there's a hole under it. We don't actually know because once something goes in there, it's really hard to get it out. So it's very bad.
Everyone, I gotta end the video here. My phone's on almost on 3%. Like and subscribing. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. If you guys looked at a funny video I posted 3 days ago, please comment on that video. I'll make some more. So thank you guys for subscribing. I'll see you guys next time.